The startling vote yesterday by which Britain left the EU is obviously a tsunami. But we have to understand that that tsunami blows all the way across Europe, across the Atlantic Ocean, into the United States. And in the United States, it's called the Trump campaign. The impetus for the Brexit vote and for the Trump victory in the Republican primary is the same. It's the dissatisfaction of people who are left out of the global economy, who feel powerless in the face of it, and feel that the leadership of their country is far more subservient to the requisites of the global economy than the needs of the people who live here. They feel, in the words of Peggy Noonan, unprotected. And she feels it's a division between the protected and the unprotected. Others say the insiders and the outsiders. But whichever it is, it clearly is a major political upheaval that has swept and is sweeping both countries. Now, in terms of the Brexit issue itself, Britain was so right to withdraw. The European Union wants to impose a dull kind of socialism on all of Europe. And they do that because they want to protect the socialism in their own countries, so that Britain is not an alternative place for capitalists to go and flee the regulations on the European continent. That's the same reason they cheer for Obama, because if they can make Britain and the United States subservient to the social welfare policies of Germany and the continent, capital will have no place to flee, and people will have no other place to live, and will have to submit to taxation and regulation. It really is an effort to subdue the world, and by Britain rejecting this, they're striking a blow for freedom that is very important and which we need to carry over in the United States in our elections in November. And I think there's a very good chance that we will. Our book, Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary, speaks of this and explains how this tsunami can influence the results in the United States. Now, in Britain, Eileen and I have a wonderful involvement with the United Kingdom Independence Party, UKIP, which is the impetus behind the Brexit vote. I wrote an article for the London Telegraph, and I said, have you noticed that the Atlantic Ocean is now narrower than the English Channel? And calling for Britain to pivot and become much more involved with the United States and move away from Europe. And I was giving a speech on a cruise ship in the Med when that article appeared, and a woman came over to me and said, it came over to Eileen actually, and said, my husband is the head of this new political party in Britain, and I wonder if you could come and meet with us. And one thing led to another, and Eileen and I were their political consultants in 2002, 3, and 4, and that was their first real campaign. Before then, in the races for European Parliament, they had drawn 1% of the vote in 2000. But in 2004, with the campaign that we helped them wage, they got 17% of the vote. And it was the beginning of this enormous launch that culminated yesterday. I'm very proud of that, and I think that it's a very important step for democracy, for freedom, for free markets, and a welcome antidote to the Obama-Hillary Clinton policies that the U.S. is pursuing. Yesterday's outcome would not have been possible without the inspired leadership of Nigel Farage, who is the leader of the UKIP party and has taken it from a relatively small party to a dominant force in British politics. It'll be very interesting to see in the next election how many seats in Parliament UKIP gets. Farage is charismatic, articulate, brilliant, insightful, and really, with the vote yesterday, deserves to take his place alongside Winston Churchill and Margaret Thatcher as the seminal defenders of British freedom.